I want to go to this clip of the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, because I think what she is saying and what she's provoking without fact is dangerous. But I want you to be able to respond to this. Let's roll that clip.
Law enforcement, they need to have their hands untied where they can do their jobs. Right now in California, what we're doing is working by bringing in the National Guard, by bringing in the Marines right now to back them up, to protect our federal buildings, to protect the highways, to protect the citizens. So right now in California, we're at a good point. We're not scared to go further. We're not frightened to do something else if we need to.
They're not doing anything. They are protecting one federal building. And to back us up, we didn't ask for backup. The California Highway Patrol protected the freeways last night. What the worry is there is people going and blocking, the freeways. None of that happened. We were able to handle it all. So this is just complete fiction. And that's what's scary.
That's scary.
If this is fiction, then what more is coming? But I do have to center this always in the raids. What is going to heal our city is to stop the raids.
It's an alternative reality, and I don't know how people who otherwise live in the real reality make steps to keep their communities safe when this kind of ratcheting up. You hear it in her voice and her disposition and what they're trying to deliver the American people, this notice of ratcheting up. And what I think I hear you saying, Mayor, is the ratcheting up is what's putting all of your citizens in harm's way.
100%. 100%. Ratcheting up something that didn't need to take place to begin with. You want to talk about something that makes people angry? That makes people angry. When you have relatives that we don't know where they are, they've had no access to legal counsel, their family members have not been in contact with them, they don't know, maybe they've been sent off to CCOT, that horrendous prison in El Salvador. Maybe they're sent to Venezuela. Who knows? Because they're sending people to countries that they're not even from.
Mayor, I know your time is limited, and Angela, I will obviously yield to you for the last question, but I am curious, what advice do you have for the rest of us spread out across the country who are, in some cases pretty terrified about what we're seeing and what we perceive could happen to us? How do we get information right now?
Well, I think that what exists here, I don't know, if it exists other places, but what exists here is a rapid response network. So basically, and the community knows this community-wide, so that if there's any sightings of ICE, then they go to those locations just to make sure that people know their rights, not to interfere with federal officers, because obviously that would be a felony, but to make sure that the people know their rights, know that they should have access to a lawyer, know that they don't have to cooperate. Those are basic rights that exist in our country. So I think that's one thing. And we are fortunate, as I mentioned before, to have a well-established immigrant rights infrastructure, people who've been here for 4 decades. And so that's the main thing. And then I think always people need to know history, the historical context for this. I was on a Zoom earlier and they were saying, well, aren't you, convinced that the courts will be the backstop? No, remember, in his first administration, he shifted the courts. That's right. So what we don't tend to do is know history or remember history. Look at the Joe McCarthy era. There are historical references to this. Look at, what the Insurrection Act is. Make sure that people understand what they're seeing. And I believe they're testing the limits of this. You heard Stephen Miller, who repeatedly evokes the term insurrection. No insurrection happening here.
Yeah. But where there was an insurrection, Ms. Bass was on
January 6th. I was there.
I know. So when you think about what you witnessed, what you experienced, the trauma of all of that, the people who actually were harmed, the officers that they swear to always protect and look out for, back the blue is what they say. When those things are actually happening, those folks are now pardoned and they're trying to erase that from history. But the people who are protesting peacefully because they have loved ones who are being impacted by these completely uncalled for, gone too far ICE raids. I want to know what you tell the people the difference between the power of protest and being labeled wrongfully as an insurrectionist. And then in the community, this is a two-parter that's kind of separate, so I'll try to remember the second part if you forget it. In our community, Black folks, Miss Bass, we need to get through to our people so there's not this divide around how to stand up for the right thing to do, even if there's no immigrant on your block or in your house or in your kid's school. Like, what is the right thing to do? Isn't this the right time to be coalition building?
100%. It's the right time for our city to come together. But, I think that we're fortunate there because I think everybody sees what's going on here. So I'm not at this point worried about a divide, but I'm also not naive either, which means sometimes even when there isn't a divide, it can be created. And I think that that's going to be really important because this is not just a brown issue. There are tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of Black immigrants here from the Caribbean, from African countries, also from Central America. I mean, I think a lot of times people don't know where Belize is. Belize is predominantly Black country. It is in Central America. And so when we're talking about Latinos, there are more Black Brazilians than there are Black Americans. So,
Period.
We need to understand that this is our struggle as well.
Native Land Pod is a production of iHeart Radio in partnership with Reason Choice Media. For more podcasts from iHeart Radio, visit the iHeart Radio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite shows.